Well, hello, friends, neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome down to the Nook and happy Saturday. We made it to the weekend. I don't know about you, but boy, work weeks sure seem long. And I'm taking a short break. We are still in March. Hopefully, I can find some other Irish to talk to you about yet this month. But I'm taking a break, and I wanted to shoot this episode of comparing the Cask Strength. This is number 3, Highland Park, in their classic, before they've redesigned it, Viking bottle. And then against one of these Signatory vintages. I've talked to you about both of these. Well, I opened this with you, but didn't come back. And then this one is, it's a mystery. It's an Orkney 14-year-old, and it's at 57, it's at 64. But, James loaned these bottles to me and said, get into them, taste them, enjoy them. And I have, James, thanks. But then he said, you know what, this is a Highland Park. It could be Scapa, I suppose, but it drinks like a Highland Park. And he said, why don't you compare this, still bold, but age stamped, versus this Cask Strength. This is the number 3 batch, and see where you go. So that's what I'm going to do today. Thought it's a nice treat to me. I have been enjoying both of these. So let's get into it. Let's see what this non-age stamp versus independent bottled age stamp. Which one am I going to like? Thanks for coming back. As I said, we're going to compare this Cask Strength, the 3rd edition, against this independent bottle 14-year-old. Both Highland Park. I have talked to you about this one, and thank you for everyone who said the M is Macallan. Yeah, okay, the M is Macallan, but they don't say it on there, so I didn't want to say it. But anyways, getting back into here, it's interesting. I don't have the box anymore because I've already recycled it. But the box did talk about natural color and non-chill filter. This, of course, has it right on the bottle, which is fantastic. The biggest struggle for me today was what was the order, because I usually drink in strength, right? So I would have started with this at 57 and a bit, and ended with this at 64. But I also tend to lean into age. And I thought, I haven't talked to you really about this one first, so I'm going to drink this first, sip it, talk to you, and we'll go from there. So, as I said, this is the 3rd edition of Highland Park Cask Strength. In my market, still a good price. There's still a few stores that have it on the shelf. I think I got this at the liquor store on 107 downtown. I'm pretty sure they still have it. And it's a monster, 64.1%. But, at that percentage, most of us are going to proof it down a little bit. It's probably going to last a fair amount of time. So it doesn't make it a terrible value because, I got it for like 105, but I think it sits around 120, somewhere like that. So not bad. But let's see this 3rd release of Highland Park Cask Strength on the nose. It's got some nice nuts. It's got light peat. The peat can get a little soggy. I don't know how else to describe that. A little bit of cardboard in there, which I'm not a fan of, but just some gentle rolling, mossy type peats. Not a lot of smoke, not a lot of, medicinal kind of stuff. And then some nice sweet cherries, some lighter berries, cooked berries, dried things, and, yeah, just that. Boy, I actually like the nose right out of the bottle the way it is. Now it's opened up. I'm just going to do a quick nose comparison to the independent bottle. I'll come back and do the tasting and show you the bottle in a minute, but this is interesting because it's 57, but it's a little more spice, a little more ginger, a little more orange citrus, whereas this has maybe a little more lemon. But they're actually in the same house. All right, let's try this. The Highland Park Cask Strength on the palate. Hope you have something nice and certainly bold in your glass. Slanja. It's hard to describe the experience of taking a sip of 64% Scotch when it's your first dram of the night. I should have acclimatized my palate. That came on hot, full, and just ran all the way through my palate. It's going to take me a moment to recover and get you good notes. But I really like, I actually like this Cask Strength a fair amount. I've heard people criticize it's not that complex, and I'd agree. There's not a ton of layers going on in here, but it does have a nice honey sweetness. I've heard that before. A little bit of lemon citrus. The peat is pretty gentle. It kind of comes off as earthy now. You know, you're walking in the woods, you got that woodsy smells. That kind of peat, it's not overpowering. It's really not medicinal for me, but it just gets that darker oaks, dried fruits, gingers, cinnamons even, lemons, that kind of thing. This has, you know, people say it's not complex, but I just got all those flavors, no problem from that sip. So it's pretty good. I am going to put some water on it later when I do some comparison, because this one needs to be backed off a little bit. Okay, I've taken a little extra time clearing my palate, because if I want to go down in percentage here, that can be a little bit tricky. So, you know, this is from Signatory, independent bottler. This is the, they call it the Vintage Series, and they have age stamps. The Speyside has 13, this is 14. They can give hints and clues, but they try not to just reveal the distillery it is. But, you know, there's really only two distilleries on Orkney, and this, I've had it before. It has to be a Highland Park. It's nice though that they say, you know, this is natural, non-chill. It's 100 imperial, so it's 57.1%. You know, I actually really like these series, and I appreciate that James allowed me to taste both, you know, a Speyside versus an Orkney. I actually liked it. I would say just right now, if you're wondering, are these worth it? I think they are. I think you should try them out. Let's try this one again on the nose. You know, and maybe I've started adjusting to Highland Park because, yeah, this is a nice nose. Like, it's a really nice nose. And now I'm getting a little more Christmas cake spices, a little more, you know, sweet almonds, but a little, something darker, walnuts, pecans, that kind of thing. And dried fruits. I got a little bit more leathered fruits. Maybe it's the age. They're speaking in a different level, so I can pull them out more on the nose. I said earlier when I poured this I enjoyed it, and I do, but now this is a little more peat. Actually, it's a lot more peat. And this is far more sweetness into spicy Christmas cake. All right, let's try it on the palate. Again, hope you have something nice in your glass. Sláinte. Very interesting. I'm getting more cakes and pastry, more malts, more length. I often talked about, you know, you take your Christmas pudding or whatever you're thinking, not pudding, but Christmas cakes. That's not even it either. You take some kind of fruits that are stewed and you put them in a pastry, and I get that impression of pastry. What's surprising to me very much is it's hot in the palate. This is a monster. And it blew me away right away, but this is heat. I'm getting quite a bit of cracked pepper, spices. This is spicier on the palate. I'm going to try another sip. Sláinte. Okay, what I've read a person who did this comparison, and they came out this way, and I thought I probably would too. You know, nice age stamp, lots of heat going on. But that actually, and I expected more complexity. I haven't had this since I shot it with you. But it's a little bit, I would say it is lacking some dimension. It's a little bit hot, leather fruits, spice, little bit of peat, back to hot. Before I put water on it, I want to come back here. Very quickly before I water these down, I want to come back to this Cask Strength. There's a little bit of off sour, a little bit of that wet cardboard that does kick around on the palate. I'm getting a little more cherries, like a little more lively for a little more berry, raspberry, cherry. No mistake, the heat now. The heat is right back. So these are both pretty hot. I'm going to put water on, clear my palate, come back. Well, I put water on both. I did put just a slight more amount of water on this at 64, so they're probably really close in percentage right now. They've rested, I'm sure not long enough. I've heard, and I agree, You know, really, if you water down a whiskey, you should just let it rest for quite some time. But we're shooting the video. We're enjoying our Saturday. We got to get at it. So this is this Highland Park. I know they've gone away from the Viking motif, or at least not the engraved bottles like this, but you can still find this. This is the 3rd edition with some water. Far more approachable nose. Even got some slight chocolate on there, which I wasn't getting earlier. On the palate, and far more approachable. This is that nice interplay of berries and light peat and citrus and sweet honey, and this is nice. It's still a bit aggressive on the back end. It's still a bit bitter on the back end. And I actually say, like, if you're not looking for all this heat, like even this, it's still probably about 55%. You know, there's a lot of Scotch coming at you fast. And if that's not your preference, you're going to save a lot more money just getting out the 12-year-old classic. Like, you're going to get way better value out of that. For me, I like playing around with it, and I certainly like the heat. Well, let's see what the Secret Orkney 2010 14-year-old independent bottle. We pretty much know it's Highland Park. It doesn't say Highland Park on the back, but with water. The nose is less. Yeah, this still has some fruit. The nose here is really backed off. Maybe the palate will give me some nice layers. Gotcha. It is more creamy across the palate. I think I said it on the early, but there is a little more biscuit, malt sweetness, a little more creamy impression to this one. I will say this, whether it has higher ex-bourbon to give some of that sweetness or whatnot, I'm not sure, but this is a little bit creamier, a little bit more biscuit. Coming into this today, I actually really thought I was going to pick this. I've had this independently, like from tasting it back to back, and I like this. I like the Secret Orkney, and I would buy this. I think it's a great whiskey, and I think this whole series is really a lot of fun. Having said that, today, where I am, my palate, I find a livelier fruit, a brighter sherry, and that sherry peat balance is clearer here. They're blending several different casks to get this, even though it's, you know, cask strength. I'm giving the nod to the non-age stamp. I actually kind of like this a little bit more than this, and I really like this, so that's pretty good. What are your notes like? What have you had this head-to-head, this cask strength, this is the 3rd edition, or this Signatory vintage? You know, what is exciting for you? Do you find knocks either way? It's always good to talk down below and share your thoughts. Do you like independent bottlers? Anything that comes to mind. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys are going to have a great weekend ahead of you. Take care.